Hey guys, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we have an absolute stunker of a recipe. This is a quick beef and mushroom noodle stir fry that takes minutes to make. We're gonna marinate our steak with soy and rice wine. We're gonna fry off our beef, make our mushrooms really crisp and golden, and then get into that wok with lots of aromatic ingredients like ginger, chili and garlic, and spring onions too. We're gonna bring up the greens with some bok choy, a lovely stir fry sauce with all those Asian pantry ingredients, and then bring it together with some nice chunky udon noodles. This is one of my favorite stir-fry recipes, and really if you want to get ahead and make this run all the way through, it's to do the prep in advance. So lay out your ingredients, make sure you have your mise en place, everything ready to rock so that you can fire the way through. Now to start this off, we're going to get our meat marinated in a combination of some soy sauce, some rice wine, and a little bit of corn flour. So straight into the bowl with those, rice wine, soy sauce, and the one thing that adds really good texture to the meat is that little touch of corn flour. So pop that straight in there, give it a good whisk up, and once it's nice and smooth, it's time to get in there with the meat. So give it a little whisk, and then we're going straight in there with our bavette steak. So I've just sliced up some bavette steak. You could use ribeye here, but anything that has a nice rich run of fat through it is what you're looking for, and then that rich red color. So pop that straight in, and then give that a good mix through until the steak is completely coated. Okay, that's our meat sorted. It's nicely coated. It's time to talk about the sauce that brings this whole stir fry together. So into a bowl, we're gonna create a sauce with a combination of Asian pantry ingredients. Dark soy sauce goes in, some oyster sauce alongside that dark soy sauce, some more of that rice wine. To bring it together, a little bit of sunflower oil, and then lastly, a little bit of light soy sauce as well. I know it looks like a lot of ingredients, but what you should be left with is this rich, umami-laden sauce. So now we have our sauce, we have our steak. It's time to talk about the ingredients that bring this together. So I have some mushrooms, a really nice selection of mushrooms here. I'm just gonna roughly chop these. I've got a combination of oyster, shiitake. Really what you're looking for is texture here. And what I would say is that while you're cooking something like this, it really is all about the ingredients that you use that will make the difference to creating a really different looking dish. So just clank through some of those bigger ones, tear up the oyster mushrooms if you want to. You just want nice textures to run through this dish. So anything that's bigger, I'm just gonna slice down. And I really love the combination of the different textures of mushrooms here. And the whole idea of this is to really get great caramelization on the outside of the mushrooms that will really go well alongside our meat. Now I have two pans coming up to nice temperatures here. I've got one non-stick frying pan, and the reason I'm using two is that I really want to get great color on the meat before I add it into our wok. So straight into the pan with a little touch of oil. And our steak has had a minute to kind of take on the flavor of that sauce. So straight into our pan. Spread it across the base of the pan so that every little bit has a bit of contact with the heat. And at this point now, the temptation is to stir fry and move it around the pan, but leave it to sit, let it take on a bit of color, and then we'll get in there and we'll mix it around. Now, while the steak is frying off in the pan here, I'm gonna get more oil into our wok. And while the steak is frying off, we're gonna get our mushrooms straight in, and we're gonna let them catch a bit of heat too. Give it a little toss, just to coat it in the oil. And again, just like the meat, I'm gonna leave it to sit and let those edges caramelize and get a bit of color. So with the mushrooms taking on a bit of color, I'm just teasing the steak over and kind of seeing where we're at. If it doesn't have that rich kind of charred color, it's not ready to go. But again, like I don't want to overcook the steak here, so I'm just turning it. As soon as you've turned the meat, give it a little shuffle and a shake. Make sure that it's nicely coated on all sides. And again, we do not want to overcook at this point. So straight off and onto a plate. And once that's happened, we're going to leave it to rest. Right, we've got our mushrooms that have now taken on that bit of color. You can see just the edges of these have taken on that bit of color and they really start to look rich and brown. So I'm going to add a tiny touch more oil. And we're gonna go in with our aromatics. So I've got some ginger going in, some finely sliced garlic. I always think this like trinity of chili, garlic, and ginger just adds so much to a stir fry. So some green chili going in. Get in there and give it a good toss through. As soon as they start to really smell aromatic and kind of catch the back of your throat, it's time to add in our bok choy, which I've just sliced in half. And we've also got some spring onions. So spring onions nicely sliced on the diagonal, they go straight in. And then just give it a minute or two for the heat to catch the bok choy and for it to wilt down a little bit. Now, give it a toss, give it a stir, and as soon as the bok choy has started to wilt down a little bit, we're going to help it along by adding some liquid in there, and that comes in the form of that stir-fry sauce. So pour that straight in on top, and it should hit the pan and sizzle just like that. Give it a little shuffle, a little shake. Now that our sauce is in there, it's bubbling, we're in a good place now. Our veggies should be cooked around this time. We're going to go in with all those beautiful udon noodles that I've just soaked and pop them straight in. And we're also going in there with the steak and all its juices. So straight in on top, and don't skimp on those meaty juices. They should definitely go in there too. And now it is just a case of folding everything together gently until the noodles are completely coated and that meat comes back up to temperature. I just love the textures in this dish. It's all about those big chunky noodles, nice chunky bits of steak, and it comes together in a beautiful stir fry. So heat is off at this point now. We're gonna serve it up. And what I will say is that if you can get your hands on those packets of udon noodles, they are so handy because they cook out really quickly and you can add them straight to stir fries just like this. So just grab some of those noodles. We're gonna serve this up into a deep bowl. There's so much going on here, but actually it's quite a simple dish. Plenty of that lovely steak, some nice bok choy. And don't forget, you've got all those lovely meaty mushrooms in there too. For me, this is just my ultimate stir fry recipe. I love the noodles, I love the texture, but let's stop talking and let's start eating. This is why you need good quality meat and good quality mushrooms, because it just makes the difference to a simple dish like this. All about those noodles though as well. Really go for the udon noodles, those thick ones. They make a big difference to this dish. Guys, this is an absolutely glorious stir-fry noodle dish. It's gonna up your stir-fry game, and if you want the full recipe, as always, it's in the box below and over on my website. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, and leave me a comment letting me know if you're gonna try this very delicious dish. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do, so I'll see you soon. Goodbye.